So what's up everyone, I'm Lontro, here to submit a Splatoon 1 speedrun to SGDQ 2022. My favorite category, Splat 1 90%. Now why do I love this category so much? It's a very trick-focused run with a lot of heavy movement optimization that has changed so much since it was last shown by Tones in 2016. Tones showed it, and I think that was back when the record was either a 52 or a 51. And here we are today with the current world record of 49.52. Now, I don't really have to explain a whole lot about what's going on in this intro. It's Splatoon Mechanics. So, start out with the Splatter Shot Junior. You fire ink from your weapon. You go back into your ink to recover, so you can keep progressing forward. You have bomb sub-weapons, which are useful for breaking boxes like that, taking out enemies, whatever. And so what's up with the record in this category? Back in 2021, Messiah, and in some parts Fujo, well, it's mostly Messiah that found the tricks. Fujo kind of just got one of the names for it, because Fujo shared it with us, but we found Fujo Skip and Messiah Skip, which saved over a minute from the world record at the time, which was a 51.14. And people were thinking at the time, just like the possibility of getting a sub 50 in the category. It was extremely hard, but it was somewhat doable. You know, you're gonna have to play out of your absolute mind to get there. And I was the first person to do that back in September. Since then, Fujo got really good at 80%. Fujo was already great before, had world record in the past with a 50.43, back when the new strats were like very, very new. And Fujo got their own sub 50, beating the 49.58 that I had as record with a 49.54. The unfortunate part for Fujo is that I was also grinding at the time because I saw Fujo getting insane in the game, and I wanted, like, hey, I know my record's beatable, I'm gonna keep working at it, and I beat Fujo's record back 12 hours later, and I feel so guilty about it. And that's where this 49.52 comes from, and it's the current record now. Now, I don't really what just went down in the last 2 minutes is getting introduced to Inkopolis, which we immediately just go out of into Octo Canyon, talking with Captain Cuttlefish. Should also explain right now, I'm playing on the Japanese version. The Japanese version saves 36 seconds over the course of the speedrun through faster text boxes, at least for any percent. I'm also playing on version 1.0. It saves 4 seconds due to some different loading times, but it also makes some of the enemies faster and harder to deal with. So it's actually kind of a risk-reward, but, you know, one worth taking at top level. And here we go, into level 1. Now we're equipped with our hero shot. This thing can actually shoot in a straight line, unlike the juniors, so there you go, better weapon immediately. And right now, all we really have is our hero shot and the splat bombs. Level 1's more of just like a target test, if you ask me. There's a lot of different, like, small enemies, and then you just have to do, like, really snappy aiming. Really test how fluid you can be with your mechanics, I suppose. A lot of people will have slow level 1s, though. This is a pretty easy stage to lose time, but if there's one thing that people do know me for in Splatoon speedrunning, it's definitely like movement and mechanics. That's like my specialty. I kind of suck with the tricks a bit more. Not as consistent as someone like Movefish, but I give it my all. And we get places. Oh yeah, I didn't actually mention at the start as well. I submitted and got into AGDQ 2022 under the name Talontrot Neon. I've since changed from that because I'm not bothered by that name at all. It's just that it was long, and it's like hard to work around that. So I went with like one of my old nicknames, Lontro. And that's what I'm rolling with now. So if there was any confusion from that, that's like who I am. That's what it is! So right now, just got out of level 1. And we're collecting some of these power eggs, as you can see in this top right corner over here. We're trying to get 100 power eggs as we exit level 2 to unlock our first of the sub-weapons. There's 3 different sub-weapons, and you start with the Splat Bomb. The other 2 are Seeker and Burst Bomb. Seeker's paint a straight line in front of you, and are far more useful because of that. Burst bombs explode on impact when they touch anything, and are a lot of people would say they're more useful than Seekers, but like for strictly movement mechanics, you need Seekers first to clear large gaps that are going to be in the next stage. But you may have seen that some of my movement in this level 2, pretty bad, you know? Like, kind of got tripped up on some of the slopes, but the thing about level 2, this is a cycle-based stage. We're trying to do a trick at the end called Cannonless. There's usually a cannon that you'd use to paint the wall at the end. We don't need to use that cannon. But the any % cycle for getting there is actually pretty free, at least these days. I've been working on harder cycles to save little bits of time, but to not much success yet. Now, if I could actually break through and get this one cycle, I've been trying to get it, save 5 seconds, but I just can't. We're not quite fast enough yet. But yes, wait for this platform and shoot to the top. And get through level 2. It's a very nice time. You also probably saw that squeegee enemy down there. We call that little squeegee Usain Bolt because on version 1.0, that squeegee is way faster than it is on latest. They realized just how fast the squeegees were and nerfed them in later versions, but 1.0 is faster loads, so we gotta deal with it. And Usain Bolt comes out of nowhere, just like, BANG! He absolutely just tries to mess with us. It's so funny. So we unlocked Seekers there because we had 100 power eggs, and now we can go into level 3. You really want to have Seekers for level 3, as you can probably see. There's lots of these long straightaways that are just perfect for the Seekers. They go in a straight line, and they'll explode when they actually contact something at the end of their path, which is also useful for taking out enemies, which you'll see in a few spots. Got these ink rails here. Activate and go across. You can also try to cut corners if they zigzag, but that's not really useful in Splat 1. More so Splat 2 Octo expansion. Which, hey, I'm going to submit OEL missions as well, so you get to see that. Just wait. It's going to happen. Yep, throw in our Seekers here. This is kind of a cycle right here on how this block moves. You can kind of like react around it. That's not really a big deal though. It's like, if you have a sub 50 in this game, you have to understand like so many micro optimizations. So me and Fujo are just like absurdly cracked with Splat 1 knowledge as a result. It's really nice having someone that also has a sub 50 though, and not just me. Actual competition was something that I just needed. After getting my first one, I was just like, why do I push further? Like, this category could theoretically go about 20 seconds lower with human, like, precision and gameplay, but, like, it's hard. It's really hard. Anyway, we're going into boss 1 now. Octo Stump. And it's going to be our first introduction to probably one of the major glitches of this game, the rapid fire glitch. Where's my gamepad? Hold on. So, on this thing, right? D-pad over here. So every time you switch a sub-weapon in this game, it fires one extra shot out of the hero shot. So if you can vibrate your fingers between the gamepad or your thumb or whatever, you can rapidly put out a ton of shots. And that helps you deal with all of these boss tentacles there. And you can see it in like the bottom left corner here, and it makes like this really weird tink or whatever. Also, yes, inking the side of Octo Stump makes absolutely no sense, and the hitboxes for that wall do not line up with what is visually shown. So, you can get away with stuff like that. Octo Stomp is a little bit of a silly billy, okay? But 3 phases of this with less things to ink each time. Get up there, RFT that tentacle, take it down. And that's World 1. Now, the scary part about this World 1 record, and why I hate going against this, is that this is my fastest ever World 1. I've only gotten 3 ever 939 splits. Like, ever, playing this game out of World 1. And this is my fastest 939. And that's just, like, the silliest thing to go up against at the start of your run. Like, it's hard to compete with this one. Usually because you'll lose a couple seconds on cannonless. Just because of how the wall gets inked and shot RNG and whatnot. Sometimes it's very out of your control. But whatever, that doesn't matter. Going into World 2. Fujo in the chat. Fujo in the chat. I'm inspired, I'm inspired! Going into World 2. First we'll be going to level 7. This stage has a bunch of long straightaways. Kind of a cycle-based thing. There's a... If you move fast enough through the mid part of the stage, you could do a thing called Fish Cycle. It's called Fish Cycle because Move Fish did this first, and I didn't even know it was a thing, and I just started calling it that, and now everyone calls it that. Funny how it works. But basically, you have to crank through the stage as fast as you can to go in between these spreaders right here. Oh, this is the run that doesn't get it. I can't even explain it. No! You're trying to hit these ink balloons. You shoot it from a distance and it'll ink up an entire wall. And I kind of missed inking some of the walls, so I'm not able to do this. So what I mean by going through the center here is that you can take this center path between these two spreaders if you're fast enough. I was not fast enough. So I go down the side. Loses a couple seconds, but it's so much less cool. You should consider resetting right now! You can aim a seeker right in between these different walls, right around the guy, and then there you go. And there you go, that's level 7. Oh yeah, my overlay's like pretty self-explanatory. 2 of them cat, but like this down right here, this is the amount of 49s and 50s I've pulled in this silly little category. This is my third 49 ever. I have 4958, a 4959, then a 4952, and then too many 50s. 50s are extremely common for me now. It's like I'll make a couple of mistakes halfway through. It's just like, yeah, this can still be a 50. It's fine. Especially considering the incident that happens in this world record, but we'll get there, okay? It's fine. So now we're going through level 4. It has a lot of these ink geysers. These things will rise up and can give you a lot of momentum to make some jumps, which you'll be seeing at the end of the stage. It's also got a fight section with these twinkles. Coming up right here. You really don't want to die here. And that goes without saying, but like, these twinkles are very fast at firing, and they can just shred you if you're not careful. So you gotta want to take it at the right pattern and dodge shots if you aggro them early or whatever. And now we're jumping off of these geysers as they rise up. Geyser jumps to get to the zapfish. Pretty clean. And now from here, going to be going into level 8. Another fairly large skip takes place here. Octoling Glitch. So how to explain this? Inklings and Octolings have very similar player data in this game. Like, they're very similar. And so similar, in fact, that if an Octoling goes through a Zapfish while it is unlocked, it can actually finish the stage for you. And we take a certain path through this stage to abuse that, because we can make an Octoling super jump path as they are spawning, go right through the Zapfish, and we're going to pop the Zapfish before they actually get to it, and have them finish the stage for us. Like so. As you can see, that Octoling just like went through the path there. Just enough for us to finish the stage. A trick's actually super easy too. And you can use an Exuka as well to make it like 100% free. But I got that trick on my second run ever. Because it's really not that bad. I'm scared by the fact that I can pick up a game a splat category so fast now, because my first ever run of this was June 2021 is all I'm saying. I had world record, or my first record in July, didn't last long, and then sub 50 happened in September. It was like 3 months, dude. I guess it's purely because Splat 1 and Splatoon Mechanics are pretty similar. They're not the exact same, but you can figure it out pretty quickly. Anyway, here's level 9. This is intro again, basically. Except this time we have Seekers, so we can cut better lines. And then we have this Octo Striker down here. Fires Ink Strikes towards you. And we use a bomb to scare him towards us, and then we can take him out with our shot. Not too bad. This is when things get fun, because now we can buy Burst Bombs. We finally have enough Power Eggs for it, and Burst Bombs are going to speed up a couple of stages. You probably noticed earlier, in between level 7 and level 4, you unlock level 5 as you are going to 4. That is because 5 is full of sponges. Sponges are instantly made to full size if you use burst bombs, so it's kind of a requirement for that one. But here's 6. There's fans in this stage. Fans go to full speed if you hit it with a burst bomb. Instead of shooting it, they have like a slow acceleration or whatever. So gotta have burst bombs for these fans. It's very important. It's basically, burst bombs take about 40, I think it's like 35% of your ink tank. So you can only actually throw 2 without having to recover. So you have to be careful on how you're like managing your ink tank when using burst bombs. Also, these fans at the end, you have to hit them specifically 3 times. Otherwise, you hit it twice, doesn't go far enough down. You hit it 4 times, too far down. So it's extremely annoying. You have to like time out your shots. But that was a good 6. Wait, is this the record that got a gold? It is. I believe this is still the community gold for level 6. This run was like absurd. Like, this is like the fastest ever early game by a mile. And then the incident happened, but like, we'll get there, okay? So, level 5, it's got these sponges. You hit a sponge with a burst bomb, fills all the way up, and then it makes a nice path for you. As you can see, our ink tank is just like constantly low. We're like trying to wait and get a bunch of ink back so you can like manage and get through that section with using more burst bombs. Here we have these Octoballs here. I don't think I explained Octoballs earlier. These are the worst enemy in probably the entire series. You have to get them stuck in your ink, otherwise they just take a bunch of knockback and flail around like that guy over there. So they're like absurdly annoying, like the worst. And then we have all of these sponges down here. There's another glitch in this game called the burst bomb glitch, where occasionally a burst bomb being thrown at a sponge will just not work. I think on these sponges, it's closer to like a 2 or 3% chance, but it can happen. And in some places, if you're like over a pit or a complete gap, you will just die. So gotta be careful for getting burst bomb glitched in terrible spots. We're almost done with World 2 now. So like the first couple worlds of a Splat 180% speedrun, it's more so just like movement. There's not like that many big tricks. That changes once we get to World 3. Okay, World 3 goes absolutely psycho. But to get to World 3, we first gotta kill Octoduzzle. And how are we gonna do that? So you get this big long spawn animation here, whatever. And look at those shoes. Look at this drip. Look at him go. Oh my. It's beautiful. Anyway. Here's our nozzle friend. He's got these little tentacle belly buttons. You use rapid fire glitch to take these out. And then a tentacle will spawn on top. Usually you're supposed to climb up there, but if you throw a bomb and do rapid fire glitch at like the very end of the platform, you can just hit it from the bottom. Way faster. And then from here, the first phase has 2 of these tentacle belly buttons. Second phase, or the first phase is 1, second phase is 2, third phase is 4. So it's just multiplying up. so just figure it out. The main thing is that you just don't fall into the enemy ink surrounding nozzle, because it is very easy to do that when you are sitting on the absolute edge of the thing. So, do this music. Oh my god. FF9 music hits too hard, dude. Holy. Oh, I kind of missed one of them there. You have to be careful, because if you miss one, you're generally just going to run out of ink like that. And I wasn't really close there. So, that was a pretty bad fight. But it doesn't matter. If I had a good fight, we're looking at like a 2035 World 2 exit. Keep in mind my best ever World 2 exit before this was a 2041. So, like, it's still a 2038, okay? Like, it's still... I'm absolutely balling out at this pace, alright? Don't even worry about it. It's still pretty good, man. I don't know what to say. Anyway, we're now going to be going into World 3. This is where I mentioned Fujo and Messiah Skip. They are back-to-back. So, level 10 is going to have Fujo Skip, which is a 55-second time save. Or 52? 53? I think my setup is like 52. And Messiah Skip is only a 12-second time save, and is way harder, but you gotta do it at record level. This is non-negotiable. So anyway, to explain Fujo Skip, so basically, this metal section over here has collision, and this twinicle, if we bait it correctly, is able to give us just enough speed that we can make it over to this metal part that has collision with a damage boost. And this ink rail that I activated over there, that's where the final checkpoint is. So, you have basically skipped the entire stage doing that. It's a little bit RNG if you're actually going to get hit by the twinicle, which is why the trick sucks. But if you get it first try, you're saving over 50 seconds. You still save time with that trick, even if you get it second or third try, compared to playing the stage. Like, that's how insane it is. But that is the biggest time save in Splatoon series history since World 4 Skip. World 4 Skip was discovered like the first few weeks of Splat 1, and that saves like 12 minutes. But that's like a very, very big time save, and something that we really just needed, you know? But anyway, here's level 12. Level 12's got all these flutters and different keys. Flutters, you can't really go through. Yeah, like their whole shower thing, and they'll just one-shot. So you're trying to just like, go around them, kind of RNG when they block your paths. So you can just lose a lot of time here to just getting unlucky. It happens. It's kind of unfair sometimes. But you just gotta live with it. So here comes Messiah Skip. The metal rim, where these boxes are, you break a couple of boxes of metal rim there. It's got weird jump properties. So you can actually get a jump off of one of these corners and then hop to this metal pole here. It has collision. You can get a jump off of it and skip this whole section. Usually you'd go under where that metal grate is, where we jumped off of. You'd go down, you go grab a key, and then take it to the end section. We kind of just jump around and get past all of that. Don't get me wrong though, I may have made that trick sound like kind of simple. It's not. It's the hardest trick. One of the hardest tricks in the series. You really shouldn't go for that trick unless you have like at least like a 51 or 52 any percent. 51 or 52 any percent. Because like it's brutal. It's super easy to just lose a billion hours there because you can't hit the skip. And it only saves 12 seconds. So you only really get like 5 tries before you start losing time. I guess it depends on your setup. But there's other setups there. There's 3 different main setups. V1, V2, V3. I love V2 because that was the only thing that was really known when I got my first sub 50. And that's what I just had to get good at. Now there's V3. V3 is like way better for learning the trick. So says Hydrus. Hydrus is another top level runner, has the All Scrolls world record right now, 50-12 and 80%, and used to have every world record in the game, like I did for a bit. Now I only have 4, cope! But, yeah, good pal. That was 14. Little simple Octoling stage on Blackbelly Skate Park, really like nothing to explain there at all. We go on unlock 13 on that one kettle. We're gonna super jump back to it later. New software is available from Apple. Really? Is it actually now? Why is that even there? Stop trolling me. Anyway, 15. So on the left side of this, there's going to be a geyser. You can do a trick called Geyser Jump. Saves quite literally a second and a half. And will lose you 15 if you miss it. So I wouldn't recommend this jump personally. You can go on the right side and do something called box jump. But I've put an absurd amount of time into that trick. And it's just like, you have to hit it. I need the time save. I am fueled by small time saves. Take out that striker, go through. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Now we're going to level 13. 13 is a cycle-based stage where we are going to have to use burst bombs and seekers to our fullest advantage. There is a pretty difficult fast cycle here to get a 128 in this stage. The backup's a 131 cycle, I believe. I don't remember what I get here. I think, like, this run's cracked up the wazoo. I'm pretty sure this is a fast cycle 13. So what we do here, you usually like go around like this whole main path right here, but you could throw 2 burst bombs at this wall and hop over to it, and then not have to go across the intended path, and that lets us catch a cycle right here. If you can hop onto this cycle, these platforms start moving, and get over to this with a burst bomb, then that lets you save a ton of time at this ending. But you have to like really hustle, because platforms are all moving. We're basically trying to get onto this ending part before it starts moving again. So you get these 2 blocks inked before it starts moving. Get up there and finish the stage. That is the fastest cycle, for at least for any percent. There's some faster things you can do in NG+, but like our burst bombs aren't good enough for that. There's like one faster cycle in NG+. But any percent fast cycle is pretty great. Anyway, we're going to go into level 11 now. This is an invisible ink stage. Whole lot of invisible path. And I've got like everything memorized here, right? Like optimal routes, backups, whatever. Start out with that Octoling. You can take down that Octoling before you actually even jump there as it's landing. And then it doesn't have time to move out of the way, which is super useful. Because then you don't have to worry about it just like having a good AI moment. Also, those twinkles there, they're not the smartest fellows, alright? Like, if they don't notice you, you could just hop around them and not have to worry about it at all. So, one corner here has a gap, you go through it, then you take out 2 of the twinkles with shots, and then the last one you can clean up with a seeker, which saves like a very small amount of time, but hey, I love time save. Hop across here, this is all an invis path section. With Usain Bolt Part 2, that squeegee right there, if you throw a burst bomb at that wall early or shoot it early, the squeegee will activate and start chasing towards you and just completely ruin your day. And then we have this ending section. There's lots of twinkles here. You're basically just trying to move fast enough so the twinkles aren't shooting where you are or aggroing in bad spots. Make sure your feet are actually inked here so you will get movement speed doing the jumps and finish the stage. Not too bad. Not too bad, feller. Let me explain why this run isn't so insane, right? I'm comparing against my PB, right? I'm minus 14, first off. That's nuts. But look at the sub, okay? So Simba Best 4906, I've dropped it a couple seconds since, but like, that's a really good sub. Best possible time 4920. I've lost 14 seconds to sub. I'm half an hour in. This run's a little crazy. My closest ever run to this since then is about 7 seconds slower out of World 3. Like, I haven't gotten really that close to this absurd pace yet. Mind you, I haven't been trying. I'm like super burnt out of Splat 1 right now. I've been playing Splat 2 Octo expansion. But it only... Oh, yeah. Okay, so Octo Whirl here. Funny boss, basically an auto-scroller. Supposed to go left on the first phase. I don't understand why he went right here. I really don't. There's no actual practical explanation as to why that happened, but it did. And it's funny that it just happens in record. Because, you know, why not? But this boss is basically an auto-scroll. You just have to trap it in ink. It's extremely simple. Nice FPS dropped! Spliced! OMG, OMG! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Anyway, that's 2 phases of Whirl. And then the 3rd phase, it's gonna take away some of the path that we could ink. Oh no! How will we recover? Oh, I can tell you how. By inking the center part, and then this part back here, and anchoring it towards you. No way! Yeah, I don't know. Like this... How do you make this fight exciting? Read donations. Bang, bang, bang. Like the... Not much I can say about it, you know? Anyway, that's our World 3 time. 31:27, I think. This is so freaking fast. Like, this is just, dude, come on. Low 31:27. I've gotten like a 31:34 before. That's like as close as I've gotten. This pace is absurd, man. And now next up is the big skip, World 4 skip, which is basically, it'll be easier to visualize once we actually get there. But on the World 4 barrier, it's got one of these barriers that just like exploded right there, right? And that blocks your access to World 5. And on the right side of that barrier, there's a 3-pixel window that you can line up to and hop across, because the blocks that go to World 5 are like super close. It's not an ink rail. It's just hoppable blocks, which was Nintendo's biggest mistake when making the single player, because that's so exploitable. And you can see those blocks behind that gate right there. So we're going to use this 3-pixel window to our advantage. Inking the side, and then you get a burst bomb to ink this part. I line up my headpiece to get like a rough position, and then you can jump across. That trick's hard. Reminder, 3-pixel window, and getting it first try when you're on the greatest run of your life. Ah! You can start seeing my gameplay. I'm kind of losing it. Looking way less composed after World 4 skip on the goat run. Like, But whatever. We're in World 5 now. World 4 has been skipped. 12 minutes have been saved. 24 is a cycle-based stage. You can basically make up to 5 seconds of mistakes in the early parts of the stage, and it doesn't matter at all. Obo just spitting absolute facts in the corner. What is this run? It's terrible! You're right, let's reset right now. But yeah, 24. Cycle base. There's going to be a jump at the end that is like actually bad. I miss it a fair amount of times. It loses 15 seconds if you miss it. Which isn't like the absolute end of the world, but like you need to hit this jump for record. But if you're just like going for a 50 or whatever, if you miss the jump, it's like not a huge deal. There are far, far worse things you can do. This run is just going to be another 50 run. SMH. Wish I could have kept that mentality, because pace gets to you, alright? Pace gets to you when you're on something like this. I'm hopelessly attached! But yeah, this jump right here to this end part barely made that. Like, my inking was really bad, so I'm like kind of surprised looking back on it that jump actually worked. Because I don't think it should have. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that jump should have worked. But hey, good enough, man. So now that I hit the jump, I'm like actually panicking. You're supposed to hit that fan a couple of times and not have to do a bunch of waiting there. I messed that up. It's whatever though. So now we're gonna do 26, Salt Spray Rig. Everyone's favorite Splatoon 1 map, guys. Like, no. Octoling Stage. You can see in my gameplay now that I'm just playing way safer. Like, nerves activated. And I lose just a bunch of time here. It's like, not much I can do about it now. And then we're going to have 27, which is our last Octo Striker stage, which is another really short one. It's kind of got a manip throughout the stage to put the ink strikes at certain spots so he'll stay stun locked at the end. So we can hit him with a balloon in one shot instead. So, for example, after we get through this cutscene, I kind of get out of my ink a little longer here. This baits out the first ink strike. And then I try to stay a bit submerged during this middle part. Stay out of the ink a little longer here by doing extra shots. This baits out the second ink strike. And then Striker is trying to attempt to fire a third just as you land there, and that's how you know this burst bomb will actually take it out when it hits the balloon, which is a really nice cue. Just so simple. So simple, bestie. And then next up is level 25. First off, we have some actually hard overworld stuff here, because we're going to lob over some bombs to where 22 is. Right here. You really don't want to miss these. It's pretty easy too. Then you have this corner jump, which just like barely works, right? And if you fail that corner jump, it's 20 seconds. It's so bad. But now we're going into 25. Flutter Stage. Flutter Stage therefore means RNG. As you can see by my PB to best split, you can easily just lose 5 seconds here and have it be out of your control. Which is why you want to have like a nice buffer going into this split. Now thankfully, in my 49.58, it already wasn't the greatest split here. So, I'm kind of not too worried. But it does make things harder playing to Sob, because, you know, inconsistency. But it's not like it's Splat 2 Octavio or anything. Like, it's just a couple Flutter Stage. Like, it's 10 seconds of RNG at most. Like, it's not a big deal. Well, that's actually not true. You can actually get some 20-second patterns that you just cannot progress in 12, but the majority of the time you'll only lose, like, what, 10 seconds at most RNG. Like, obviously, the sniper, if it went down this middle path and then went left, that's a better spot. The key's closer to you, to where this lockbox is, but it didn't. What are you gonna do about it, you know? You just gotta work with what you get. And then, so basically, we have went from, like, I would say the late game part to, like, now we're in end game. Because 23, 22, and Octavio is probably the hardest trio of stages in Splatoon history for speedrunning. Like, I can't stress enough just how hard these three are on record pace. They're all, like, extremely precise, super easy to lose a ton of time, or die, or miss a cycle, miss a manip, whatever. So 23's got a bunch of sponges, bunch of enemies, and as you can see, super open stage, it is very easy to fall here. This Inkzuka inks up all of these sponges in great big lines, and makes a path for us here. Well, I kind of botched the path, but, like, besides the point. You can't worry about small things like that when you're on absurd pace. You hit this balloon. This sponge, like, sponge on the left side there, it, like, expands. And if that clips you as you're jumping, you will just fall. So you kind of have to, like, strafe right as you're going to the mid platform where the balloon is. Subtle tech things. If you don't do that, you're not living much. You're not surviving. And then we go through this sponge section. Don't get burst bomb glitch, silly Billy. And then there's a manip here. There's going to be 2 Octolings that jump down. If you go from the right side here and kind of like diagonal crossover, then toss a bomb, you can bait that Octoling to spawn there, and then the second one to spawn in TR corner, which is really convenient because they're both close to you and where the jump pad is. Beep beep moment. Minus 14! And I have 5 seconds here. I like how NJ was calling me Lantro when I was still Talontroni at this point. I didn't change this name until like very recently. And this was back in January, so like, just a nickname. It's cool. Anyway, 22. Switches. These switches, throw a burst bomb at it, activate it. Okay, pretty simple. All there really is to it. Some of them we're gonna have to do some harder angles for the burst bombs. Some of them we're gonna have to do like some jump offs and whatever, but that's just what it is. So you take out all of those enemies there, and at the end of this part, we're going to be throwing a burst bomb at this high switch. Bang! And that goes through all of this section without having to do like the whole puzzle for it. And then we picked up an Inkzuka earlier. We're going to use it. Throw a bomb at this first one, take out these 2, bomb takes out the third one, clear the snipers, and make a path. And then 2 quick ones. Gets all of the platforms that we need here rotating. Ink this path. These Octoballs have ruined too many runs for me, so I just played it safe there. I had time to spare. What are you going to do about it? Then you go to that launch pad that's like on the side. Usually you'd hit a switch there for the platform to rotate. You don't need to do that though. Key here. Go under the flutter with the bubbler special, which makes you invincible. And then finish the stage. So you might be wondering, okay, 49:38 best possible time, but this record's 49:52. There's a bit of an incident in Octavio. I'll explain when we get there. But, this Octavio, not my finest work, okay? I was gonna do like some safe stuff and probably end up like a 49:42 was kind of where my mind was at. I was going to do some save strats and just ensure the run finished, because this would have absolutely been a time I'd be satisfied with. Unfortunately, things do not go to plan. But it's okay. It was still the Whirl Recce. But here it is, DJ Octavio. This fight consists of 5 phases, where Octavio will have like this big machine where we need to hit fist back. We're going to be using the rapid fire glitch a ton to do things called fist skips. If you hit a fist back fast enough, the first one, the second one won't come out until Octavio actually finishes his animation, which helps us do more knockback, but it's a little slower to do that. If you do a normal fist cycle or whatever, it involves delaying the first one just slightly, and then hitting the second one when it's close to you. Those are a little bit faster, but they do less knockback. So you're basically combining those 2 concepts to do the correct amount of knockback to Octavio. You'll also probably see here, I do this thing called fall-off shots. I put my hero shot a little bit into the air, put some shots above the fist, those fall down onto the fist as it actually comes out, and then I put my shot cursor onto the actual fist to do the fastest hitbacks you've ever seen. That's how I achieve extremely fast Octavio pace. Or the basics of it, really. There's tons of subtle things. So we hit back these fists, Octavio gets mad, and then there is a subwoofer. So we're basically playing tennis, just like Ganondorf in OOT. Except this isn't using an empty bottle or something. This is the rapid fire glitch. Taking it down. So, okay, let me explain. Phase 2 is where the incident is. There's this thing called substrafing. Substrafing is when you're holding down the R button, you can like pivot really fast back and forth in your ink to change directions quickly. There's another variation of that called shot strafing. What I do here, I substrafe to hit this armor, but I accidentally throw the burst bomb because I release R at the wrong time, and I run out of ink, and the fist hits the ground. So what does that do? So what that means is that I didn't do enough a knockback to Octavio there, and I have to do another entire set of fists to get through this phase. This is not what's supposed to happen here. This loses me 12 seconds on the spot. And when this happened, I thought the run was dead. I really did. I really thought this run was dead once that happened. But I got some clutch energy in me. Like, you gotta just like accept the facts. Like, it happened on your god run. The incident happened. You lost 12 seconds. And just make the most of the pace that you have. Because, like, this was still pace. At the end of all of this time loss, this was still pace in phase 2. Like, it really hurts looking at this best possible time as it just whittles away. But I'm still 49.50 BPT. And the record's 49.54. Like, I can do this. This is doable. I have to just stay composed and make the most of what I have. These are like angry RFGs and snaps at this point. You can see them at my angles. Like, I am just mad playing this game. Like, instead of like the more smooth, fluid motions, I'm like bang, 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 bang with the gamepad. You can tell when either I'm stressed or when I'm like mad playing this game based on like my motion. Like, it actually becomes pretty obvious, just like how I like shake and move the gamepad or whatever. Which is kind of cool. Subtle things, man. Anyway, this is phase 3. I picked up an Ingzuka earlier. This lets you hit back the subwoofer from a distance, and it's useful. There's 2 Ingzukas in this fight, and there's 2 phases where Octavio's really far back, 3 and 5. And the Ingzukas are in 3 and 4, so we're basically going to get an Ingzuka in phase 4 and just hold on to it until like the very end of the fight. So I was going to play safe in this phase 4 in this run. I can't do that anymore because of the pace. So I have to do a pretty dangerous strat called fast phase 4. You hit 1 fist only at the start of this and walk across where this barrier is. If that barrier hits you, goodbye run. And now you have to do a fist skip here on a pretty bad angle for this fist. If you miss this fist skip, you can say goodbye to your run. But I got it. And now I can continue on with this phase. I have enough knockback to finish it. By letting that first fist hit the ground, it actually makes Octavio reset his animation faster, saving a couple seconds. But, you know, if you miss the skip halfway through the phase, then we have problems. And we're going to lose like 25. So and then phase 4, you can see the subwoofer is just way closer, so we're getting the RFGs out, going as fast as I can at this point. Just trying to save this cursed abomination of a run now. The fastest Octavio enter into a 756 Octavio split. Ah! It hurts to look at. But whatever. Phase 5. No throws. Phase 5. We gotta do some fist skips. We're gonna be dealing the rest of our knockback with the Ingzuka. These killer whales here, they'll only break through 1 piece of armor, and then you get invincibility frames. So you can kind of just sit in a killer whale in this fight, if you need to. And then we're waiting in our ink here, and we basically just have to time out a bunch of RFGs to finish this fight. In conclusion, I love this category. It's got a ton of tricks. It's got a ton of cool movement. It's very unique. It's got a lot of new stuff from once Tones last did it. So if any Splat 1 category I want gets in, it's this one. There's other good categories. I'll be submitting a couple of my other favorites. I believe Squid Amiibo and All Scrolls are the other 2 I'm going to do. And then Splat 2 OEL missions. Because that category is so different from what's been shown to GDQ before. But yes, dealing with these last fists, and then you do this Ingzuka part. Which is basically a matter of this subwoofer is moving very quickly. Just seamlessly do this Ingzuka. If you miss, goodbye run. Bang, bang. And there you go. 49.52, which beat the world record by a couple seconds. But this run's improvable. I'll have to get a 49.3x at some point. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on more Splat 1 submissions. Okay? Peace.